Friday, March 23rd. I'm heading out to Moore Park, doing a job for a buddy of mine. He needs a repipe at his house, so we're gonna take care of that. But I'm surprised nobody got the $100 that I put up to answer the question that could have easily been answered via Google. But let me just tell you guys, the purpose of my channel is hopefully to get the intellectuals to start speaking accurately and clearly about things that are affecting our world, and to talk about things that, I mean, I have yet to hear any of the people in the manosphere talking about as in terms of real solutions to the problems between men and women. And one of the biggest problems that I see is nobody's talking about women having self-control. I hear men talking about what a woman's supposed to do, what she should do, and you know, women are just naturally whores and all this other kind of stuff, and I'm just like, I'm not in agreement with that. I'm gonna have another video later on tonight where I'm gonna just illustrate and demonstrate this theory of hypergamy is not accurate. It doesn't make any real sense, but it definitely made sense 15 years ago when it was introduced to me. And I think the reason why it made a lot of sense was because I was in a situation where I was in an estranged marriage and just really trying to understand, what do I need to do to be in harmony with a woman? And I just think that nobody's talking to women about having self-control. You know, they can exercise discipline and self-control when it comes to getting degrees. They can exercise discipline and self-control when it comes to having a job, working like as a nurse. You know, she can get sick as a dog, but still show up to do her shift at the hospital. But, you know, she can't, you know, hop in bed and enjoy a night of pleasure with a headache that is definitely going to go away once the man starts doing what he got to do to pleasure himself. Because, you know, he's not just pleasuring himself. If he's in a relationship with a woman, he's going to be working to make that woman happy. And maybe that's the whole problem with a lot of the guys that these women are laying down with. You know, they're handsome, they don't give a shit about what the woman feels, and so they've limited themselves to that top 10% of guys, or top 20%, and the 80% of the guys that would actually work towards pleasuring them, along with pleasuring themselves, they're not getting a chance to even, you know, smell a girl, you know. So I would just say that, and give me credit, fellas, if you guys watch this video and then you guys start talking in the manosphere circles and in social circles about women exercising as much self-control and discipline as they do, getting these useless degrees, working these jobs that are dead-end jobs. They can exercise so much self-control and discipline there, but then when it comes to sex, dating, relationships, and marriage, they can just do whatever the heck they want to do. I don't do the heck what I want to do, you know. And a lot of these women are actually doing some crazy stuff. Like, you know, I was watching a video on Coach Greg Adams' channel where this girl on her 17th birthday had a foursome. Three dudes ran a train on this girl, and she's giggling about it while telling the story, and her husband's sitting right there listening to this thing. She's like 40-some years old telling this story, and it's almost like she's saying, oh, I miss having that in my life, so it looks like this marriage I got is going to be thrown in the garbage because I just had no self-control as a young woman, and because I really enjoyed that, I want to get back to it. Well, you know, good luck to the brother, you know, that's his wife. You know, she was never yours, man. It was just your turn, and you need to accept that. But my thing is, this is just a warning to women, you know, if you want to be a whore, you need to make up your mind that's what you're going to do, because once you do that, you're not going to be a good wife for anybody in the future. You're not going to be a good mother for anybody in the future. And even though you can say, you know, I raised the kids and I did what I had to do and all this, you know, ultimately you're going to ruin this marriage, and then your kids are going to wonder what happened with mom and dad. Why did mom leave all of a sudden and she's 50 years old? Because she was not a good mother. It was in her heart to be a whore, and when the streets called because her husband was boring, and the only reason why he was boring, he was the only issue of stability in her life. And so she got bored with the stability and the comfort. Now she wants to go back out there, and she can walk away with cashes and prizes. Leave this man devastated, wondering what the hell did he do wrong. You didn't do nothing wrong. You picked the wrong woman. And in American culture, I have nothing against American culture. This was the culture that set me up to be very successful. This is the place to make money, y'all. This is not the place necessarily to raise children. And if you raise them, you need to talk to them honestly and candidly about the landscape. The women here are not being trained to be good wives. They're not even being trained to be good women. They're being trained to be good workers, good worker bees, and, you know, for the weekend. For the weekend, because, you know, women tell jokes about, you know, how they miss the lifestyle that they had before they got married. I had a friend of mine, his daughter got cancer, raised like 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. She got cancer, and she's talking to her father about, you know, how she kind of regrets not really having gone out and enjoyed her young years sleeping with a whole bunch of dudes. And I'm like, this is just bizarre. But what I want to talk about is just self-control. Women do not exercise self-control where it counts. You know, and when a woman gets bored or tired of being ran through by all these Negroes and folks in the street, now she wants to take a vacation, a break, and settle down. But it's not even a matter of her settling down. She's just taking a break. But there are cultures and there are women that see through it. My mother was one of them. You know, she liked the dinosaurs, gone extinct. But hopefully a few people will listen to some of these videos that I'm putting out and take to heart. Because it was like Oprah, she was having a talk with somebody, and they asked her, you know, what do you have to do with these people that are, quote, racist? Oh, you just gotta let them die out. Well, that's ultimately what's gonna happen. Most of these women are gonna fall for the okie doke and start selling punani out here in the street. But the wise ones who are gonna be successful from start to finish, they're not gonna fall for the okie doke. You know. So the proposition that I'm putting forth is not analogous to the marketplace of goods where we're quantifying the value of a woman's sexuality in terms of marketplace value. I'm basically saying for men and women, you should be operating in the context of winning versus losing. And it's not, quote unquote, a competition per se, but it's all about evaluating choices in the context of, will this set me up to ultimately win, to get what I really want in life? Or do I want to lose? Because winning looks like a certain image in your head. Losing looks like just the landscape of the world, because most people are losers. And the few that are able to see that they're losing, they're not willing to acknowledge they're losing. They're willing to just be like sour grapes that, you know, I really didn't want to be rich. I really didn't want to do this. And money doesn't make everything. No, money doesn't make everything, but definitely money will put you in a position where you can win. You can fly first class. That's a win. How many people are able to afford to fly first class? Not too many. Losers. A whole bunch of losers. whole bunch of losers. But nobody is looking at it like, okay, I'm still getting to Milwaukee on the plane. I just not flying in the first class seat, which costs a little bit more money. Why? Because you can't afford it. So you're a loser in terms of you really wanted to fly first class if you could afford it. You know, to sit behind that curtain where everybody else behind you is not being taken care of and catered to by 3 flight attendants, whereas the rest of the whole plane is being catered by 2 people. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Don't be a loser. Now, I'm 60 years old. I got divorced in 2019, and from that day forward, I've been rebuilding my life. And I've had to work just as hard as I did when I was in my mid to late 20s, raising and dealing with my family. And not only did I take care of my 2 sons and my wife, who didn't have to work. She did work, but not 1 penny of her money went towards paying bills or taking care of the family household responsibilities. So I was able to afford a lifestyle for my children that my 2 sons, one is going to be 32 this year and the other one's going to be 30. They can't even afford to present the lifestyle that I gave them for themselves right now, because they weren't willing to make the real sacrifices that were necessary to enable them to do that. And then they complained, well, Dad, you worked too much growing up. You know, you should have spent more time with us. But, you know, I disagreed with that too, because I was able to demonstrate and show them, no, I didn't work too much. We traveled every year, and about every month we were going to the movies. You know, we were doing a lot of fun things, man. I took them to Europe. I took them to Canada, took them to Mexico. You know, we were doing a lot of fun things together. I always set aside time to spend with my family. I definitely did that. But they couldn't even, to this day, provide that for themselves. And they're blaming the economy. They're blaming the president. They're blaming everybody instead of taking into heart this notion of adaptability. We can adapt. You know, we talk about Darwinism and, you know, bacteria, it's able to evolve and it can survive under, you know, changing dynamic conditions. But here it is, you know, we as men and women, we don't have the ability to adapt. Well, I'm going to show you I can adapt, because right now I'm working on a project for a gentleman where I'm ended up going to convert a garage into an apartment. You know, building a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment on the 2nd floor of his garage. And beneath that, I'm turning the downstairs 2-car garage into a 1-bedroom, 1-bath studio apartment too. And I'm doing all of this in exchange for rent. I'm bartering. I'm gonna get to stay in either the upstairs or downstairs, my choice, for 3 years rent-free. 3 years rent-free. Now, I've got the cash to do all the renovations at no cost to him whatsoever. And this is the kind of stuff that you have to be able to do. And the only reason why I'm able to do it was because over the years after I left the fire department, I acquired a lot of knowledge and skills that I used to take care of my family. And then I got into construction. I became state licensed in California as a general contractor. The first license I got was the plumber's contractor's license, the C36. Then I got the B license to do general construction. Then I got the C20. No, C20 was the first one I got. Then I got the C36. Then I got the B, which is general construction. Then I got the C10, which is electrician. So I got all these skills to the degree that I could test and get licensed by the state And my license right now is expired. I'm going to get it reactivated because I've been working for a company called DT Enterprise. I've been dealing with them, and it's a startup. I'm partners with 2 other gentlemen, and we're just now starting to turn a profit. But I'm going to get my license reactivated so I can start doing some of these things on my own. But I've put myself in position to adapt. And this is what you guys need to learn. And just as I exercise discipline and self-control in the arena of business and enterprise, I've also exercised self-control in the arena of personal relationships. I'm not out here just screwing a whole bunch of women. I did have a moment where I did do that, and I caught a couple of things. Thank God I was able to get rid of them. Chlamydia and what was the other one? It was chlamydia. It was just chlamydia. I got it twice. And, you know, that was a wake-up call for me to tell me that I needed to exercise more self-control in that arena. So now I've been so focused on my business, I don't really concern myself with personal relationships because I'm making a sacrifice to position myself in such a way that when I get to the financial level that I'm seeking and moving towards, I will be able to not have to work and still have mailbox money and still have cash flow coming in. Hopefully I can make some money doing these videos, because I really don't hear too many people talking about self-control and discipline on the part of women. But I'm going to live by example and talk, because I disagree with what Coach Greg Adams is talking about, the free agent lifestyle. He's going to have a good time living the free agent lifestyle, but I think he's promoting a lot of damage because there's a more constructive alternative. I'm not saying get the Bible and become this holy roller, Bible thumping kind of a person. I'm basically just saying, let's just start being practical, because these women that he's, you know, catching at the junior college, they're losers. They're going to lose because he's going to use up their youth. They're going to become slutty whores. And in the end, he's going to continue to just, you know, the vicious cycle until he's too old to lead these women with his wallet. So those are the obstacles that confront both men and women, and I'm really focusing on the women because the women you guys are the most susceptible to the bull crap. You guys are most susceptible to it, and it's going to hurt you more than it'll ever hurt a man, in as much as that as a woman you have a limited time to get your stuff in order, and if you don't get it in order by the time you're 30 years old, it's a wrap. Game over. So with that, I'm going to put this video out. I'm glad you made it to the end. And I would just ask, if you watch this video and you want to get a $25 gift certificate, you got 24 hours. The time right now, Pacific time, let me look at my other phone. It is 1:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to check my email at 1:00 Pacific Time tomorrow, and I'm going to backtrack. Whoever answers this question will get a $25 gift card or a $25 transfer via Zelle from me to you as a gift for supporting my channel, for watching. And I would ask that you put a thumbs up on top of responding to answering the question. The question is this: please give me clear definitions for capitalism, communism, and socialism. It'll only take you probably not even 3 minutes to look up those things, read the definition by Google, and spit it back out to me. on the comment section. I will look at the comment section. Whoever gave the answer the fastest, the soonest, will get that $25 gift card, and I will announce the winner between 1 o'clock p.m. tomorrow and 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. Have a good day, and I'm close to my destination, my buddy's house. Talk to you guys soon.